Now a Channel 2 investigation into the thousands of criminal illegal aliens crossing into Georgia every year. Using fake identification, they can avoid being captured. And often those arrested are released from jail instead of being deported. But local police say they have a new tool to crack down on illegal immigrants who break the law. Channel 2's Regan joining us now with more. Tom?
John, that new tool you mentioned is the sharing of a federal database that has the names and background on illegal immigrants. Now, advocates of the Latino community argue that this will lead to unfair ethnic profiling, but those who support it say it'll help authorities track down illegal immigrants who enter this country as fugitives and those who break the law.
America's open borders with Mexico, where entering the U.S. illegally is as easy as running across the road. They come here to find work, better paying jobs, but some head down the wrong road, breaking the law with deadly consequences.
I'll never have closure. There'll always be a hole in my heart that'll never heal. I miss my son this day.
As he leans over the grave of his son Dustin,
I miss him something bad.
Billy Inman shares a profound bond of grief with another father in the same cemetery. Kenny Shackelford also lost his 19-year-old son Chris. The tragic ties that bind the men, both sons were killed in 2000, and in both cases, the driver responsible was an illegal immigrant. The one who struck Chris's car was drunk, twice the legal limit. Two of Chris's friends also died in the wreck.
Actually, I blame the government. If they had enforced the laws, he wouldn't have been here. The guy that killed Kathy and Billy's son wouldn't have been here.
The guy's still out running around. I don't know if he's in the United States, back in Mexico, Canada, wherever he's at.
The driver responsible, Gonzalo Harris Gonzalez, fled the hospital in Dalton, where he'd been taken for treatment.
It just breaks my heart to know that this kind of stuff goes on and our government knows this stuff, the problems that it's caused, and doing no more about it than they are.
Billy Inman launched a crusade to demand aggressive enforcement of laws against illegal immigration. His website is among scores nationwide that post pictures of people killed by illegal aliens, often the result of drunk driving wrecks. Cobb Deputy Sheriff Lauren Lilly died on New Year's Eve last year in a car crash caused by illegal immigrants.
That was very tragic for the Cobb County Sheriff's Office as well as for Deputy Lauren Lilly's family.
The Cobb Sheriff's Office is the first in Georgia to join a federal program that provides quicker identification of illegal immigrants charged with crimes. Deputies are trained to make sure that once an illegal alien serves his punishment, he is held until customs officials can pick him up for deportation. There are 300 such inmates in the jail right now, charged with crimes including vehicular homicide, armed robbery, burglaries, and crimes involving children.
Hopefully that it will send a message that if you're going to commit a crime, don't come to Cobb County and don't come to the Cobb County Jail.
But advocates for the Hispanic community say it's wrong for local authorities to be in the business of enforcing federal immigration laws. They argue that will undermine community support and lead to ethnic profiling.
We are not a country where it's the Wild West in Cobb County, where the sheriff has the ultimate authority.
I can't guarantee you they'll go back to their home country, but I guarantee you that we're going to hold them until the immigration authority comes and picks them up.
Securing the borders ultimately is the job of the federal government. And until that's done, Billy Inman and Ken Shackelford say there will be more families grieving the death of loved ones killed by illegal immigrants.
Maybe one day it'll all be better.
Disregarding the law.
Well, police say illegal immigrants who drive without a license often also do not have insurance, and that drives up the cost of uninsured motorist coverage for the rest of us who do have insurance and follow the law. Live in Southwest Atlanta, Tom Regan, Channel 2 Action.
A rare appearance on Sunday on the campaign trail did not end well for President Obama. He was stumping for Anthony Brown, who is the current lieutenant governor, and he hopes to be the governor in Maryland. And people started walking out during the president's speech. Now, these are still pictures that were taken. The pool reporter there clearly stated that people started to stream. A steady stream of people walked out of the auditorium as he spoke, and a heckler interrupted his remarks. That is the background reporting that we have out of that room.
And Jim and Joe, more of the president's supporters all bailing today. Kentucky Congressman Ben Chandler is the latest Democrat to say he will not be attending the Democratic convention. He joins at least 16 others, reportedly skipping the party's big event. But it's not just the convention. Virginia Democratic Senator Jim Webb, Democratic-leaning Senator, Independent Joe Lieberman of Connecticut, they have other issues with the president, namely his plan to cut taxes on those making less than $250,000, but not for anyone else. So they're not supporting him. And it doesn't end there. Democratic governors are now grumbling about the president's health care plan. At least 7 are said to be non-committal about whether they expand the state's Medicaid programs and start these exchanges, as is the law's requirement. Well, Sabrina Schaefer says there's definitely trouble in paradise. She is with the Independent Women's Forum, but this...
Absolutely. Well, it's no doubt that the president faces an uphill battle in November, but it's no longer just with voters where his approval is under 47%. Now we're really seeing one lawmaker after another and party infrastructure that's no longer solidly behind the president. So I imagine that by the time we get to September, Charlotte is not going to be quite the party that they had maybe anticipated.
Now all these Democrats are saying they're not coming. It's hard to come by reliable numbers how many party stalwarts have bolted from their big convention or bolted with the president in either party. But this seems to be earlier than normal. We do know that, right?
Yeah, it does seem a little early, and of course things can always change, but I think that there are a few reasons why we're seeing this. And of course the economy is, the number one reason. I think that more and more Democrats are moving away from the president and his policies. We have had national unemployment that's hovered above 8% for over 3 years now. And the average, duration of time that an individual is unemployed is 41 weeks. The fact that things have not improved, the fact that we're seeing, the president talk about tax increases, taking more money away from hardworking Americans to pay for more spending, I think we're going to see more and more Democrats saying, I can't stand behind this president.
But you know what's interesting, Sabrina, as this list expands about people, parachuting out on the president, is that it's not just the vulnerable Democrats. It's those who feel, at least when it comes to issues like the health care reform in their respective states, where a lot of these Democratic governors are in fairly good shape, are saying, no, I just can't countenance this because I've looked at the books and I realize it's going to cost me through the nose.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the Independent Women's Voice just conducted some research, and we found that still a strong majority of women, for instance, oppose Obamacare. They oppose the law, they oppose the mandates, and they want to start over. And I think a lot of governors recognize that. They recognize that despite the fact that the Supreme Court upheld the law, there's still a lot of popular disapproval. And so that's hard to ignore. And then the other thing is that I think this is an administration that has stooped to some of the lowest levels of leadership. We are seeing, identity politics, gender warfare, class warfare. And if you are a safe Democrat, I don't know why you would want to identify with that at all.
Do you think that President Obama is a strong leader?
President Obama has a lot on his plate, and it seems like whether it's the oil spill that took place earlier a number of years ago in the Gulf, to this Ebola crisis now, to ISIS gaining strength. I mean, you look at all the combination of things like that.
And do you think he's acted as a strong leader in those crises?
I think there's definitely, like with Ebola, we have definitely been late to the table in making decisions about that, being sure that CDC understands and gets messages out to hospitals.
So you don't think he showed strong leadership?
Certainly there are issues that I certainly think, no.
There she goes again. There she goes again.
There she goes again.
You know what?
Well, it's just not.
They're innocent.
These are not hard questions to answer, but Casey asks them in such a nice way.
With bullets in her eyes.
Sometimes the simplest questions are the toughest.
No, you can be so mean. I can't even believe it. I'm scared. I'm looking at her right now, and look at me. My eyes are getting wide. I'm like starting. I can't even look at her. I have to go back here. That was nervous. Democratic Senator Kay Hagan trying to answer that question. So here's Casey Hunt with more on her states of play.
Diese jüdische Frechheit hat länger gelebt, als sie in Zukunft noch leben wird.
Where will you draw the line? And will there be time? Will you finally break the chains enslaving your mind? It's time to make a stand, my friends. Start living for today. Put the fear outside your head and say, I'm alive and I'm awake. It's time to make a stand, my friends. Start living for today. Put the fear outside your head and say, I'm alive and I'm awake. Polluted frequencies invade your solitary space, disconnecting what was pure, a corrupting silent war. Just open up your eyes and see through the lies. Put all your fears aside, and now you're alive. Oh yeah, it's time to make a stand, my friends. Start living for today. Put the fear outside your head and say, I'm alive and I'm awake. It's time to make a stand, my friends. Start living for today. Put the fear outside your head and say, I'm alive and I'm awake.
I do care what you do with this information because it is important to our survival as a species. It's important to our planet. It is important for the world.
This is Dabu 7, August 29, 2013, and this morning the Obama administration has unexpectedly announced 2 new gun control measures, one including a ban on the import of military surplus weapons, which all of you collectors out there that like to collect all these weapons, you're no longer going to be able to do this. This is his way of stopping these guns from getting to the streets, he says. Now, it used to be that you could get away with doing this with U.S. allies. Private entities could, purchase any weapon they wanted. Now, they are looking to stop that 100%. So, with all of the distractions taking place around the world, he comes out of left field and comes with these 2 executive actions to add to the list. And he is also proposing a federal rule to stop those who would be ineligible to pass a background check from skirting the law by registering your gun to a corporation or a trust. So he's looking to close that loophole as well. So those are the 2 new executive actions that he has put into place as of today. But also at the same time, Harvard has a new gun study that just came out and is very interesting because it shows from looking at several European countries that higher gun ownership often leads to lower murder rates. It says, in fact, the murder rates in Russia are 4 times higher than that in the gun-ridden United States. And it found no evidence to suggest that the availability of guns contributes to higher murder rates anywhere in the world. So those are some interesting statements right there from a study out of Harvard. I will leave links as always. Till next time, this has been Dabu7. Eyes open.